And like I said earlier, it was the feel, the speed of skating hockey, just the feel of being at the rink when nobody was there, just skating around was amazing. So when I discovered aggressive, I was definitely into it and into all the grind aspects and everything. But there was definitely a point kind of in the mid 2000s where, and I would do maybe a joke trick once in a while, or like a cess slide or a swivelly thing. But it was kind of the mid 2000s when I've said this before that there was not there. I was, as a fan of skating, there was some good stuff, but there was not a lot to grab onto, and that may have been the era. It got a little weird where like every picture in the magazine was jump on, slide down, and some of the attitudes, and it was like, look at how sick we are, or we always made the joke, look at how heterosexual rollerblading is. Um,
Yeah.
that it went so over the top that I wanted to go more in the weird direction. There also could have been, you know, a little bit of um, BC cannabis. Discovering that helped loosen up the mind a little bit, and the joke, like sometimes it was joke tricks, and then it just became this one time when I got REMS, the UFS REMS, the swivelly thing started to click more, and I just started doing that a lot and combining spinny stuff with grinds and stalls, and that was the initial thing. But the need to do it came from there wasn't a lot like that in skating that I would watch videos hoping to see something weird or something that stood out, and you would see it once in a while. More maybe in the early 90s. So I got more in touch with how I actually wanted to skate. It was somehow related to the Michael Jackson thing, and then just enjoying the feel of skating, and then maybe purposely pushing the grind thing away a bit more, and just enjoying weird stuff, and then maybe something to do with Canada and comedy. I'm not sure where that all fits in, but
Canada and comedy. What do you mean?
like like there were still things that we did creative tricks, but there were still some like we messed around on our skates and did joking stuff. And there's a Canadian thing about not taking yourself seriously, but then at the same time being sincere. And then people, they're not sure if you're joking or if you're not. There's something there. And I don't know what that is. It's a cultural Canadian thing in terms of like the torch that has been taken by Danny and Express. There's like really good skating, but then there's the comedy's kind of been, there's funny stuff integrated into it because rollerblading is it's pretty funny. That's what made it extra funny when it took itself very seriously. That it one of the a great quote I read on a message board once, which captures kind of the mid 2000s era is when will rollerbladers realize that no matter how big they go, nobody gives a shit? And I thought that was really funny. Whether it's true or not, that's up to you. But I we went bigger and bigger and bigger, like we were trying to prove something, and then a lot of the fun aspect of skating and the simple joy of skating, maybe more, like you said, on the Edwards side, that serious street skater thing, it really took over. That's a long-winded answer, but
This goes completely into something that I really wanted to talk to you about, which was after watching MB8, Mushroom Blading 8. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's out on YouTube. Linked in the video description below, by the way. But by watching any of your videos, recent or from the past, you could tell that you don't. It seems like you don't take it too seriously. And I'm curious how much of skating to you is serious and how much of it is just fucking around, because you do a lot of messing around in your videos.
that's the weird part. We take it very seriously, and we're still very obsessed with it. Um, but like Todd said on his podcast, we just film a whole bunch of stuff, and sometimes you just do something silly in the moment. And it's funny, we film all this skating, and still we connect with doing that one silly thing. Like we could do a whole bunch of tricks, have half an hour of footage of doing tricks, but then the joke thing always ends up going in just because it's really funny. You put it in, you start laughing. So there's quite a bit of serious skating, obviously on a smaller level. There's trick lists. There's, I guess maybe because we came from backgrounds of team sports, we still are extremely hard on ourselves mentally and we take it seriously, but then that's also funny too. So there's some joke tricks. It's more just to spruce up the session if you are taking yourself too seriously to do a little joke thing. But we're serious. It's business. Like for lunchtime sessions, we get out of the car, we put our skates on, we're filming for 45 minutes. We pass the camera back and forth, film as much stuff as possible. It's serious, but at the same time, it's not.
I love that answer and that whole aspect, and the lunch sessions too. You do the same. I guess I remember Tom mentioned that too when we had him on the show. That like he would go out skating on his lunch breaks and come back to work like all sweaty and stuff from skating. You do the same thing too.
It's the best. It's like being retired from work for 1 hour. You come back a completely different person.
Are
You
those
come
the
back to
best
the office
sessions?
sometimes with this feeling in your head like, you guys don't know this feeling. Like, I was just out skating and doing tricks. Like, going into meetings and things like that, you just feel like a more grounded, different person. And a lot of MB8, there were sessions that we filmed in the evening. A ton of that video was filmed on lunch breaks from work in 40-minute windows over a long period of time.
You guys never wanted to like incorporate that into the video, into like the video parts, like anything about work or nothing? Because I think that's truly
Um,
unique. I don't know too many people. I never heard of anybody else doing that really, except for you guys.
I keep the family world, the work world, and the rollerblading world all very separate. So it helps the world of the video and skating to keep work separate. For a long time, I think a lot of people at work didn't even know that this was a thing that I do. But I will be wearing the mascot costume, possibly in the future, doing one rollerblading thing. I will be integrating it into my work.
Wait, so what do you do
Oh,
for
I work at
work?
a university. Sorry.
Okay, so you also
Yeah,
wait, isn't that what Todd does also?
he works at a marketing agency in town.
Okay, so he was talking about you when he said you worked at a university. Then I guess I remember
Yeah,
something about a school involved. Okay,
yeah,
so you're gonna wear the mascot costume.
yeah. It's like, isn't it a mascot thing to have skates on and do a trick? So I finally offered up my services after 7 years
Are you
to
gonna
just
actually
do
do that?
one. I'm going to do one thing. I don't want anybody to ask a bunch of times. I want to give them one thing. So I hope the rollerblading culture is okay with that. I'll try and make it look good, but
What is the mascot? What's the costume?
it's Wolfie. It's a wolf. The
Okay.
the team is the Wolf Pack. So maybe just like a wheel slide or something. We'll see.
Are you talking about in a game or just like
No,
on your
like
own?
something just for social media. Like I think
Okay.
they started a TikTok account. So like
Okay.
mascots are huge on TikTok. So why not?
That is very interesting. I can't wait for that to happen. Did you ever see the video of the it was like a viral video of like a T-Rex, I guess, at like some basketball game on rollerblades going down the bleachers and then he like falls and busts his ass. Did you ever see that?
Yeah, it was amazing because the inflatable thing kept like
Oh yeah, that's what it was.
bouncing up and down.
That's what it was. Yeah. I remember
It's
watching that
funny.
and being in tears.
I still have this side of me that that wants rollerblading to look really good, and every once in a while, I'll see something like a mascot. I'll think, "Oh, this just makes rollerblading look like a joke thing." But in some ways, it's a fun tool to do lots of different things. So it doesn't have to be the same as the most core street skating video. It's okay. A mascot can wear rollerblades. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I definitely agree.
No, I totally do. I think like that was a lot of like the idea put forward, like kind of going against the core way that are like the old kind of traditional yeah, core street skater vibe. Do you think that's something that was like actively you were like I'm going to push against this because like you were saying like skating lost its fun because like I was thinking about Austin's question. It's pretty good. Like, do you take it serious or not? Like, obviously, you take it very seriously. You put a lot of time and energy into skating, and you're really good at skating, and so is Todd. But at times, it does seem like it could be taking a piss or like making a joke at something. But um, there seems to be like that idea behind it, just to, like show like you can have more fun with blading, right?
Yeah. Sometimes it just feels good to do that. And yeah, we were laughing because there's that one section with the Dylan Cooper song that looks like we're making fun of skating, but then it'll have like a really nicely performed trick. And I think that's an important thing. And it's also just getting to a certain point. You've been doing it for so long that it feels good to do that sometimes. Um, and yeah, a lot of that stuff, we're not going to run that joke into the ground, but some of that stuff comes from that era of where skating took itself really seriously. Because even back in the mid 2000s, we'd be watching some of these videos and looking at magazine photos and stuff. And as fans, some of this stuff would be really funny. How serious skating was, and I totally get it. Oh, my light went out. I totally get it, but there was nothing to go against that. And I know mushroom blading one. I think people maybe we were trying way too hard to push against the grain, came on a little too strong, um, but it was purposeful. Yeah, I remember going to Barn Burner and watching some videos where I had this feeling: is this even the same thing that I do that I'm into? That like I felt like when I was watching Barn Burner that it was a separate activity. I still enjoyed seeing the tricks, but it had nothing to do with how I looked at skating personally. So a lot of the mushroom blading stuff is just following that of like what do I want to see? How do I want to skate? While still remaining a fan and historian of skating. Like I could probably take quite a few people in rollerblading trivia. I would do very well for myself. So as much as I push against it or poke fun at it, I'm a huge fan of it at the same time. That I'm just a giant grom.